My name is Elias, and I'm 27 years old. For as long as I can recall, my existence has been a constant reminder that I was always second best in my family. I'm not one to grumble for no reason, but growing up watching your parents pour everything into their favorite child while you scrape by with leftovers breaks something deep inside you. My older brother, Luca, 5 years my senior, was always the prince of our household, while I was the one shining his throne. It started when we were kids. My parents, Victor and Helena, had a peculiar way of distributing their love and resources. Luca, with his charming grin and entitled attitude, always got the finest new clothes, pricey gadgets, school excursions, and the largest room in the house. I, on the other hand, got his worn-out clothes, broken toys, and a mattress that creaked with every move. If I dared ask for anything, my mother would shoot me a look that said, "Don't be greedy, Elias. Not everything is for you." My father would chime in, "Luca's the eldest, he needs more." As if being younger meant I deserved nothing, I remember one Christmas when I was about 10. Luca, then 15, wanted a fancy mountain bike that cost a small fortune. Without a second thought, my parents took on debt to buy it for him. I had asked for a soccer ball, nothing extravagant, just a regular one. When Christmas morning arrived, I watched Luca ride his shiny new bike around the yard while my mother snapped photos like he was a celebrity. Me? I got a pair of socks and a cheap plastic ball that broke after 3 kicks. When I asked why I didn't get the ball I wanted, my father snapped, "Don't be ungrateful, Elias. We can't afford everything." But for Luca, they always found a way. The disparity only grew as we got older. Luca wasn't exactly a scholar. He barely passed high school with terrible grades and had no interest in college or work. Yet my parents excused it all. My mother would say, "He's a free spirit," as if laziness was a noble trait. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one. I got good grades, helped around the house, and at 16, I started working part-time at a supermarket to help with expenses. Not because I wanted to, but because they expected it. My father, Victor, was an electrician, but his income barely covered the basics. My mother, Helena, stayed home, occasionally selling baked goods for extra cash. But their priorities always revolved around Luca. When he turned 18, they bought him a used car. It wasn't fancy, but it ran. At that age, I was still taking the bus to work. When I asked why they didn't help me, my mother said, "Luca needs the car to get around. You'll manage." As if my time wasn't worth anything. By 20, I had graduated high school with honors and started working full-time at a furniture factory. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid decently, and I was proud to help out at home. But my parents quickly took advantage. "Elias, the bills are tight," my father would say every month. "We need you to chip in more." Like a fool, I did. I handed over nearly 70% of my paycheck, covering electricity, water, internet, even groceries. Meanwhile, Luca, then 25, did nothing. He lounged at home, playing video games, watching TV, or hanging out with his buddies. He contributed nothing. I got fed up seeing him sprawled on the couch when I came home exhausted from work. So I said, "Luca, why don't you get a job, even something small to help out?" He laughed like I'd told a joke. "Work? Nah, little brother, that's not for me. I'm meant to enjoy life." Then with that smug grin I hated, he added, "You keep slaving away. Someone's gotta pay the bills." I wanted to knock that smirk off his face, but I held back. I knew if I did anything, my parents would take his side. They always did. Things got worse over time. By 24, I was working double shifts at the factory to earn a bit extra. I'd come home at 11 p.m., arms sore and back aching, only to find Luca playing on his new gaming console, bought with spare money my parents somehow found. Spare money? I was the one paying for nearly everything. I once checked their internet bill and saw they'd upgraded to the most expensive plan, complete with premium channels, just so Luca could watch sports in HD. When I confronted my mother, she said, "Don't be jealous, Elias. Your brother needs something to unwind." Unwind from what? Doing nothing all day. I hit my limit at 26. My father called me into the kitchen with my mother beside him and said they needed me to give more money. "The bills are too high, Elias. If you don't step up, we won't make it." I was already giving over 80% of my income. I barely had enough to buy myself clothes or hang out with friends once a month. When I asked what they needed more for, my father got cagey, muttering about rising costs and tough times. It didn't add up. A month later, I found out the truth. Luca and his friends had gone on a week-long beach vacation at an all-inclusive resort. How did I know? He plastered it all over social media, pictures of him sipping cocktails by the shore, grinning, while I was sweating in the factory moving furniture. When I got home, I confronted my parents. Where did Luca get the money for a trip? I demanded, though I already suspected the answer. My mother tried to change the subject, but my father, in his usual commanding tone, said, "That's not your concern. Focus on doing your part." I couldn't take it anymore. My hands shook with rage. My part? I pay for everything in this house. Electricity, water, food, even the damn internet so Luca can watch his games. And now you want more so he can go on vacation. Why don't you make him work? He's 5 years older than me. My mother stayed quiet, staring at the floor, but my father's face turned red. "You don't come here telling us how to raise our kids," he shouted. "Luca's different. He's not built for work like you. You work, he enjoys, that's how it is. And if you don't like it, leave." Those words hit like a blade. I looked at my mother, hoping she'd say something, defend me, but she just nodded, agreeing with him. I felt a mix of fury and heartbreak. My whole life, I'd been the worker, the one who sacrificed, while Luca lived like royalty. And now they were saying it was my duty? Something snapped inside me. I wasn't going to be their doormat anymore. "Fine," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Then I'm leaving. You can pay your own bills." It's that simple. My father's face shifted from anger to shock, like he couldn't believe I'd said it. My mother's eyes widened. "You can't do this to us, Elias," she cried, almost screaming. "We raised you, gave you everything." I let out a bitter laugh. "Everything? You mean Luca's hand-me-downs and a lumpy mattress? Don't make me laugh." Without another word, I went to my room, grabbed a backpack, and packed the essentials, clothes, documents, and the little savings I had. I didn't say goodbye. It wasn't worth it. That night, I stayed in a cheap motel while searching for a place to rent. It wasn't easy, but within a week, I found a small apartment. It wasn't much, but for the first time I could breathe as expected. My parents didn't let go easily. 3 days after I moved out, my mother called, her voice dripping with guilt-tripping. "Elias, how could you do this to us?" she asked, sounding like she was on the verge of tears. "We're your family, we gave you everything, and this is how you repay us." I gripped the phone tightly. I wanted to tell her that everything was just scraps, that they never showed me the love or support they gave Luca. But I didn't. I just said, "Mom, I'm busy, goodbye," and hung up. I thought they'd get the hint, but I was wrong. A week later, my father called, his voice gruff but with a hint of desperation I'd never heard before. "Elias, this isn't a game. We need your help. We can't make ends meet, and you know we rely on you. Come home. We'll sort this out." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe his nerve. "Sort what out? Me being your cash machine while Luca lazes around? No, Dad," I said. "You told me to leave if I didn't like it." I left, figure it out. He hung up without another word, but it wasn't over. The calls became relentless. Every day, my phone buzzed with my mother's or father's name. At first, I answered out of curiosity. My mother alternated between begging and manipulation. "Elias, please come back," she'd say. "We can't handle everything. Your brother's struggling, not eating well, not sleeping. Don't you feel bad leaving him like this?" Luca. Struggling, the last time I saw him, he was playing on his new console, beer in hand, without a care in the world. When I pointed this out, she switched tactics. "You're so ungrateful. We raised you, gave you a home, food, clothes, and now you abandon us like we're nothing." It stung, but I wasn't the kid who swallowed shame anymore. "Clothes? You mean Luca's cast-offs and a broken mattress? Don't make me laugh, Mom." So I hung up. My father was more direct. "Elias, you're the man of the house now," he said once, as if it was some grand title. "Your brother isn't ready to work. You know how he is, but you're strong. You can handle this. Come back and I promise things will change." Change? How? Would they give me the big room and make Luca work? Of course not. It would be the same, me slaving away while Luca lived like a king. "No, Dad," I said. "If you need money, tell Luca to get a job. He's 32, not a kid." He shouted, "Don't talk about your brother like that. You don't understand." I hung up and stopped answering their calls. Then one day, my mother showed up at the factory where I worked. I don't know how she found me, but there she was, standing at the entrance with red eyes and messy hair. "Elias, please," she pleaded, ignoring my coworkers passing by. "We can't go on like this. We'll be evicted if we don't pay rent. Your father's trying to find another job, but it's not enough. You're our only hope." For a moment, I felt pity. But then I remembered how she dismissed me and defended Luca while I worked myself to the bone. "Mom, I'm not coming back," I said calmly but firmly. "Tell Luca to work. He's the eldest, right? Let him step up." She shook her head like the idea was absurd. "Luca can't. You know he's special." "Special? No, just a spoiled leech." I turned and went back to work. When I glanced out the window, I saw her crying as she left. After that, I blocked their numbers. I was done with the drama and manipulation. I wanted to live my life, and for the first time I was. I started going out more, meeting people. I made friends at the gym, guys who invited me to play soccer on weekends. I even met a girl, Maya, who worked at a cafe near my apartment. It wasn't serious, but chatting with her, joking, and sipping coffee without worrying about household bills was new to me. My salary, which used to vanish into my parents' hands, now let me save, buy things for myself, and actually live. Most importantly, I felt valued. 3 months later, my peace was interrupted by a call from my Aunt Sylvia, my mother's sister. She was the only relative who ever treated me fairly. "Elias, I don't want to interfere, but you need to know what's happening," she said, her voice heavy with concern. She told me everything. After I left, my parents tried to keep things as they were, but without my money, it all collapsed. They couldn't pay rent, utilities, or even buy food. They thought Luca, their golden child, would step up. But when they asked him to get a job, he laughed in their faces. "Me, work," he said. "I'm not here to support old people. If Elias won't pay, you deal with it." He packed his things and left. No one knew where he went, probably crashing with a friend and burning through whatever money he had without Luca or me. My parents were on their own. The landlord gave them a month to pay what they owed, but they couldn't. They were evicted without mercy. My father, who always bragged about being the man of the house, took a job as a plumber, a trade he barely knew. He earned next to nothing, just enough to eat. My mother, who'd never worked, started sewing coats to sell at a local market. But her unsteady hands and lack of skill meant they were poor quality, barely earning enough for a few meals. They now lived in a tiny, moldy room in a dangerous part of town, where the air reeked of garbage and the windows were cracked. One day, while having coffee with Maya, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Luca. "Hey little bro, how's it going?" It read like we were best friends. "Heard you're doing all right. Can you spot me some cash? I'm in a tight spot." I laughed so hard Maya jumped. Luca asking for money, the same guy who mocked me for working and said he wasn't built for it. I didn't reply. I blocked the number and went back to my coffee. He could sort himself out just like I did. When I think about my family now, I don't feel guilt. I feel free. My parents built their own ruin by coddling Luca while treating me like a servant. Luca, meanwhile, lost his throne and no one's left to fund his whims. I don't know what'll happen to them, and honestly, I don't care. Maya sometimes asks if I have regrets. "They're your parents after all," she says, with that gentle look that makes me want to be better. But I tell her the truth. No, I don't regret it. They chose Luca and he ditched them. I chose to save myself. She nods, but I know she doesn't fully get it. No one can unless they've lived it. I'm writing this from my apartment, a beer in hand, music playing softly. Outside, the city glows at night. Tomorrow, I've got a soccer game with my buddies. Maya and I are planning a beach trip this weekend. It's not a perfect life, but it's mine. Every dollar I earn, every laugh I share, every day without my family's weight is a victory. My parents and Luca thought they could use me forever, that I'd never push back. But I did. And now, as they face the fallout of their choices, I'm building my future update. A year has passed since I walked away from my family. Today, as I walk along the beach with Maya, the sun dipping below the horizon, I feel a peace I never thought possible. My parents and Luca are just faint echoes, trapped in the mess they made. I carry no guilt, just the certainty that I did the right thing by breaking free. Every step I take proves I'm worth more than the scraps they gave me. That freedom, that justice, is my greatest triumph. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.